knowing that audio was probably going to come out along with additional tapes, whether they be video or audio is unclear at this particular moment in time, Shannon Sharpe felt compelled to come out in his own defense. In my perfect world, he moves on. And somehow, some way, we find this all to be false. But it doesn't seem like that's the way things are about to go down, considering who Mr. Busby is.
Football Hall of Famer and broadcaster Shannon Sharpe says he's stepping aside from his job at ESPN in light of new allegations. On Sunday, a woman filed a $50 million.
How does a Titan fall so fast, so hard? Shannon Sharpe, a celebrated Hall of Famer, a voice millions tuned into daily, seemed untouchable. Then, almost overnight, he vanished from the biggest stage in sports media, engulfed in a storm of accusations so bizarre and disturbing that they left everyone reeling. What dark secrets were hiding behind the charismatic smile, and how did it all unravel so spectacularly? It started with a tremor, then became an earthquake. News broke that Shannon Sharpe was suddenly out at ESPN's First Take. Initially, the narrative spun was that Sharpe was stepping away temporarily, planning a return. But whispers from inside the heavily guarded walls of ESPN and its parent company, Disney, told a different story. This wasn't a break, it was an expulsion. Sources claimed Sharpe was pushed out, given only a sliver of grace to save face publicly. The reason? Explosive allegations had surfaced, tied to a lawsuit so damaging that the family-friendly empire of Disney wanted nothing more to do with him. The suddenness was shocking, leaving fans and colleagues stunned, scrambling to understand what could possibly dethrone the seemingly invincible Sharpe. The answer, when it emerged, was far messier than anyone imagined.
Civil lawsuit in the state of Nevada.
Yeah, I might choke you in public. Big black guy chokes small white woman.
You sharing text messages, that's just sharing too much. We didn't want to hear about nobody getting hogtied in your bedroom and your salad getting tossed while you wearing a collar. It's too much.
All of these big dick deviants, they're all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you didn't or whoever you is.
At the heart of the storm was Gabriella Zuniga, a name few knew until she filed a staggering $50 million lawsuit. But it wasn't just the money that raised eyebrows, it was who she was and her connection to Sharpe. Reports identified her as an OnlyFans model, and crucially, she was only 19 years old when her alleged relationship with the mid-50s Sharpe began. The age gap alone was enough to send shockwaves, painting an uncomfortable picture often described as a sugar daddy dynamic. Instantly, red flags shot up. This wasn't just a relationship gone sour, it hinted at a potentially exploitative situation, casting Sharpe's judgment and character into serious doubt long before the ugliest details emerged. But the age gap was merely the entry point into a far more disturbing rabbit hole. The real scandal ignited when the term race play entered the conversation. In a baffling attempt to control the narrative, Sharpe himself released a deluge of text messages between him and Zuniga. However, he only shared her side of the conversation. The content was jaw-droppingly explicit and drenched in crude, racially charged language. Text reportedly included phrases like Zuniga wanting Sharpe to put a big black baby in her, alongside other deeply unsettling racialized comments and requests. The public reaction was one of utter revulsion. While Sharpe likely intended to portray Zuniga as volatile or obsessed, the move backfired spectacularly. People questioned why a man of his stature would even engage in such conversations, let alone leak them, and the biggest question lingered. If this was her side, what was he saying? Many began to speculate that Sharpe wasn't just a participant, but the instigator of this twisted dynamic, fulfilling a fetish he couldn't reveal. But texts were just the beginning. The real audio nightmare was about to drop.
Shannon Sharpe, race play? I don't even want to talk about this, but the more videos I scroll past talking about Shannon Sharpe and this relationship that he had with this 19-year-old, and honestly, I was just assaulted by this information. I didn't know anything about it. And I'm scrolling, minding my business, and I see a deluge of text messages that he released from this girl that are weird and with an obvious race fetish. And it's not just her with the race fetish. he obviously was turned on by these conversations as well, and he only released what she was saying. Put a big black baby in me. Oh my gosh, I can't believe. I wouldn't be surprised if she was calling him the N-word during coitus. He's into that. And if this man is turned on sexually by being racialized in such a weird way.
Just when the public thought the situation couldn't get any more bizarre, Zuniga's lawyer, the notorious Tony Busby, unleashed an audio recording that sent chills down spines across the internet. In the clip, Sharpe's voice is heard, chillingly casual, uttering the words, "Yeah, I might choke you in public." He even acknowledges the optics. Big black guy choke, small white woman. It's not a good look, Shannon. The context was debated. Was it part of their disturbing role play or a genuine threat? Zuniga's responses on the tape also sounded strange, almost goading, but regardless of the setup, hearing a powerful figure speak so callously about violence, even acknowledging the racial dynamics, was horrifying. The audio clip became undeniable proof of, at minimum, incredibly disturbing interactions and potentially something far worse. It solidified the narrative that something deeply unhealthy and dangerous was happening behind closed doors. Facing mounting evidence and public condemnation, Sharpe scrambled to defend himself, but his strategy only seemed to dig the hole deeper. He insisted everything was consensual, painting the lawsuit as a blatant shakedown. He then took aim at Zuniga's lawyer, Tony Busby, claiming Busby notoriously targets successful black men, even drawing a comparison to Jay-Z. Sharpe warned that Busby might release edited tapes designed to make him look guilty and play into negative stereotypes. This defense, however, imploded spectacularly. The internet fiercely rejected his attempt to play the victim card. How, critics asked, could he cry foul about racial targeting when he was allegedly engaging in, and perhaps even paying for, demeaning racialized roleplay himself? Leaking Zuniga's racially charged text only amplified the hypocrisy. His attempt to position himself as a targeted black man fell flat, drowned out by the sheer weirdness and disturbing nature of his own admitted interactions.
I'm grateful I'm not 56 and trying.
Are you trying to say what you trying to say?
I'm looking right at you.
I know you looking at your
I ain't backing down. You don't need no 26-year-old girl. You don't need no 36-year-old girl.
I know.
This is your auntie talking to you. Take your old and get you an old out there that can love you old. You trying to hang out with these young. You can't do it, Shannon. You just can't do it.
Shannon was out here.
While Sharpe battled the allegations publicly, his own ESPN colleague, StephenASmith, entered the fray, adding another complex layer to the saga. Smith, who had personally recruited Sharpe to First Take and served as an executive producer, took to his platform with carefully chosen words. He expressed sympathy for Sharpe's situation, but simultaneously delivered sharp commentary that many interpreted as thinly veiled criticism, perhaps even satisfaction. Smith repeatedly emphasized the unforgiving nature of Disney's brand protection, stating bluntly that once the Mouse House deems you a liability, especially with allegations this toxic, it's over. He highlighted Sharpe's recklessness, particularly the decision to release the text, suggesting it was the final nail in the coffin. While maintaining a facade of concern, Smith's analysis sounded like a eulogy for Sharpe's career, leaving many wondering about the true dynamics behind their on-air partnership. Was this genuine concern or a subtle, "I told you so"? The irony of Sharpe's downfall wasn't lost on viewers, especially those who remembered recent high-profile interviews on his own popular podcast, Club Shay Shay. It felt like a prophecy fulfilled. Just months earlier, comedian Cat Williams sat across from Sharpe and issued a stark, now chilling warning about the dangers of messing with white women, hinting it could lead to ruin. Sharpe largely laughed it off. Then came Monique, who didn't mince words, advising Sharpe directly to stop chasing younger women and find someone age-appropriate, calling out the inherent risks and weirdness of large age gap relationships. She essentially told him it was a setup waiting to happen. At the time, these felt like candid conversations, perhaps uncomfortable truths. Now they sounded like alarm bells that Sharpe completely ignored. He was receiving direct warnings from industry veterans on his own platform, yet seemed to plunge headfirst into the exact behavior they cautioned against. It painted a tragic picture of a man who preached wisdom but failed to heed it himself.
All of us have someone to answer to. No matter how maverick we try to be, and we own our own business, and we're our sole proprietors like I am on this platform and stuff like that. There are advertisers, there are sponsors, there are people you do business with, there are partners, and there are bosses.
Ultimately, the Shannon Sharpe scandal unfolded as a catastrophic fall from grace, fueled by a confluence of disturbing choices and alleged behavior. The abrupt ESPN exit, the shocking age gap with an OnlyFans model, the repulsive race play allegations revealed partly by his own hand, the damning audio threat, and the spectacularly failed defense strategy all combined into a PR nightmare from which recovery seems impossible. Add the layer of ignored warnings from peers like Cat Williams and Monique, and the narrative becomes one of self-inflicted destruction. It's a story that transcends sports commentary, touching on themes of celebrity, power dynamics, accountability, fetishization, and the potentially devastating consequences of unchecked impulses and recklessness at any age.
It's a sad situation. Shannon Sharpe is somebody I work with a couple of days a week. Shannon Sharpe is somebody that I brought to ESPN. To be clear, even though this podcast, this YouTube show is owned and operated by me solely, it doesn't mean that I'm going to be dismissive of ESPN, who employs me in my daytime job on First Take. So I sit here before you today letting you know that they are aware that this is a subject that I was going to broach, because I owe them that courtesy. I am the executive producer of First Take on ESPN. I recruited Shannon. I went and got him and brought him to ESPN. I'm not the boss. Those are other folks. There are layers to this, and there are certain layers even I am not on. I can tell you, I also spoke to co-chairman of Disney, the boss, Jimmy Pitaro, who made it very, very clear we are taking this matter very seriously, and we are looking into this very, very closely. In my perfect world, he moves on. And somehow, some way, we find this all to be false. But it doesn't seem like that's the way things are about to go down, considering who Mr. Busby is and how emphatic his client is proclaiming that she is right and she's telling the truth. I have no idea what direction ESPN and Walt Disney will go in when it comes to this matter. All I do know is it won't be me making the decision. It'll be others upstairs. In the end, all of us have someone to answer to. No matter how maverick we try to be, we own our own business and we're our sole proprietors like I am on this platform and stuff like that. There are advertisers, there are sponsors, there are people you do business with, there are partners, and there are bosses. That's the situation, unfortunately, that Shannon Sharpe finds himself in.
But what do you think? Was Shannon Sharpe truly the victim of a targeted shakedown, or did his own actions seal his fate? Did ESPN and Disney make the right call cutting ties so swiftly, or was it a rush to judgment? This story is complex, messy, and leaves us with uncomfortable questions about the hidden lives of public figures and the price of their mistakes. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear your take on this unbelievable saga. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, because the fallout from this story is likely far from over, and you won't want to miss what comes next.
This three-time Super Bowl champion and this Hall of Famer, who emphatically stated to me over the phone how innocent he is of these allegations that have been levied against him, insisting repeatedly that anything you read, anything you see, anything you hear was fully and totally consensual. In the same breath, what's inescapable is that without us knowing all the merits, he was working with Disney, where I've worked since 2003, excluding my departure from 2009 to 2011, and I was gone for those 2 years. Outside of that, I've been at Disney since October of 2003. I know this place. I know the worldwide leader that is ESPN, who's under the umbrella of Disney. And it wasn't difficult for me to figure out what was transpiring. They didn't need any definitive evidence at this particular moment in time about all of that stuff. Once all the things Shannon Sharpe's lawyer put out there, it was uncomfortable to listen to. And it was not something that Walt Disney once associated with its brand. So to have him on the airwaves while all of that stuff was put out there was not something that Disney was going to take. That is what I mean when I say I am not surprised.